Hey, I'm over YouTube videos. I am a feminist and a lesbian, and I just figured out my microphone comes out of its stand, so I'm very excited about that. I stayed up really, really late last night watching what Alexa Nikolas is now claiming was her final Eat Predators YouTube video. A live stream she did to attempt to defame feminist journalist Kat Tenbarge, and oh man, oh Jesus, I really want to talk about that. I have arguably already been talking about this, both in my former videos on the subject. I actually live tweeted this while it was happening, so if you don't already follow me over there and you're active at all on Twitter, you might want to. Although, even if Alexa does live stream again, I don't know if I'm gonna commit to live tweeting them. That was a lot. There was also just so much dead air. I mean, I typically watch Eat Predators videos after the fact and sped up in my video editor, so I just wasn't prepared for how much dead air there was. I also kind of didn't really think this live was going to happen at all, but I really wasn't confident that it would still be up the next day to download, is part of why I figured I would just live tweet it as it was happening. But it was still up the next day, and I did download it, and also a lovely Nuance Corner friend helped me to cut out some of the extremely excessive dead air in that live so that we can all go over it together here. But before we do, I need to kind of catch you up on the central sort of conflict going on here, and that is all I'm going to catch you up on in today's video. I've talked about Alexa already for hours. I will talk about Alexa again for hours in an upcoming video. We're gonna map all the shit out in one, like a rise and fall of Eat Predators sort of thing, because I want to make very sure that Alexa Nikolas does not get a chance to spin the narrative into one where she has been bullied off of the internet. Because, to be clear, what happened is Alexa's actions caught up to her. She chased away her own supporters, all but the most loyal who were there in the chat last night. Any polite dissent or anything, they would accuse them all of being bots, which is very, like Alexa, like supporters. I mean, we know from past videos that's Alexa's MO whenever somebody's criticizing her, is to just say that it's a bot campaign. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of what led up to this again in greater detail in an upcoming video, and I also have my series where I documented my entire process from being deeply afraid to criticize Alexa because I didn't know what kind of response I was going to get to where I am today, just completely and fully over her bullshit. So let's get to it. I need my notes for this one, it's messy. So Alexa returned to Twitter last night to start the main beef that we're going to be talking about tonight, as well as tweeting a few other things, like, "I'm so ready for these liars. You have no idea. A good break repairs you beyond measure." And "No fear when you live in the truth." The rest of the Twitter beef, though, was a continuation of something she's teased a few times and that I mentioned in prior videos. Alexa's grudge against Kat Tenbarge, a feminist journalist who writes for MSNBC. Kat is fantastic. I adore Kat. I was in the live chat while Alexa and her husband were attempting to defame Kat, being like, "We love Kat, hashtag we love Kat." Yeah, it's defamation. It's her attempting to start a hate campaign against a feminist journalist who I'm sure gets a lot more targeted and hurtful hate than anything that Alexa is going to direct at her, but that Alexa should still not be directing at her. Alexa tweeted a photo of Kat and said, "One of the reasons I took a break." She also tweeted, "You owe me an apology, and you know that. Break the cycle, Kat." Enter Adam McIntyre, a drama YouTuber and a sweet little Irish boy who Alexa certainly learned about at around the same time as I did, when he got a lot of attention onto his channel after the story that he had been telling at that point for years about Colleen Ballinger was finally corroborated and more people began to support him. Adam's been a YouTuber for a really long time, like since he was an actual teenager, but I don't think it's offensive for me to say that that's when a lot of us were introduced to him. I've watched him off and on since then. I'm an Adam McIntyre defender. Adam had previously been very supportive of Alexa, and then more recently than that, he had spoken about her in a more critical way around the time when she abandoned Drake Bell's victim in favor of supporting her abuser. I will link to his first video about that below. I thought it was great. I used part of it in one of my videos about Alexa back when I thought I was going to move on from covering her. So Adam retweeted this picture that Alexa had posted of Kat with one of the reasons I took a break. And he just attached some cute pictures of Kat from when the two of them were hanging out because they're friends.
I just said ratio and photos of Kat. And the reason I did that was because how are you trying to start a hate campaign against someone who hasn't even released the article?
And he did, in fact, ratio her, and Alexa did not like this, tweeting a little bit later, wait, was the ratio for, are you criticizing a photo of her? Weird. Didn't even think about that. Be a better friend. And mean girl energy, not a fan of that. To which, and I'm not just reading you Twitter all night here, but somebody responded and said, you're giving off the mean girl energy yourself as well. How do you not see that? And Alexa said, no, just being me, winky face, and defending myself from bullies. Have every right to. So apparently intent on defending herself, she replied to Adam's ratio tweet, okay, Adam, let's listen and read what a victim blamer she is. I'm going live Thursday. See you there. What a joke this post is. And then she quote retweeted herself with a picture that was like a still of Adam and said, Adam, this is not going to look good. You'll be like this on Thursday. LOL. Awful. And I'm not alleging, I'm not saying that I think that Alexa herself made the Okie dokie snark subreddit. But I will say that little move, that little, I'm going to post a screenshot that I'm going to use plausible deniability. I think you're not cute in that, but I'm not going to say you're not cute in that. That's what she's doing. And that is a move that was used against me on the snark subreddit where they took a screenshot of me while I'm in the middle of talking. They didn't use the one where I flipped off the camera for Drake Bell though. Maybe they should have. Adam made a video about Alexa the next day. We're going to talk about that, don't worry. But before that came out, Alexa would tweet again about Kat. Where's her article? Malicious defamation, nowhere to be found. Another tweet, let's go. I'm so serious. I'm so done with you guys. Another tweet, I got the receipts. Another tweet, guess who? Truth. And to that tweet, claiming malicious defamation on Kat Tenbarge's part, Abby Govindan responded, they interviewed 6 former employees of yours. People would pay millions to have an article like that killed, but you're lucky. NBC just killed it because they don't think you're well-known enough to warrant the attention. You got away with it, queen. Honestly, I loved this tweet. I retweeted it. I think this and a couple others like it have gotten under Alexa's skin a lot more than a lot of the other things that she was pretending to be responding to in last night's late night video. So anyway, Alexa had been planning on doing that live about Kat on Thursday, not the first time she's scheduled it. She's scheduled it and then just not done it a couple times, so I assumed it wasn't going to happen last night. It was scheduled for this Thursday, but Adam posted a video on Monday that made Alexa very, very mad. You can find it linked in the description below. I just used a clip from it earlier for that ratio part, and I'm going to use more clips from it here, so go give his video a like, check out Adam's channel. He said he's not planning on following up again about this after her live last night, so I'm picking up the torch for that, but that means that I have to explain his video if what I'm making is essentially part 2 to that one, right? Adam's video begins with him expressing that same unease that I mentioned I had originally felt when I was recording my first video about Alexa. His very valid observation that everyone criticizing Alexa gets made out to be a victim blamer and a bully.
I'm really nervous to make this video because this person we're going to talk about has a connotation just where they love to put the term victim blamer towards anyone that ever speaks not positively about them. I think I've just got to accept that Alexa is going to call me a victim blamer for this video, which is really genuinely upsetting considering what I personally have went through, but I just cannot not speak on this any longer, that if that's what she's going to say about me, then I have to accept it. And I know it's not true, and I know what I stand for, and I hope my audience does as well. And I hope today I can show you a little bit more of what actually has been going on with Alexa Nikolas.
He also goes over those Twitter interactions from the night before, and he tells us what a lot of those of us who have been already keeping up with this Alexa story already kind of knew, which is that Kat Tenbarge had been working on an article about Alexa and Eat Predators, and that she had already spoken to several former members and employees. And Adam also read that tweet that I just read you earlier about her not being relevant enough for the NBC article.
And now, to back up what Abby says, that is what happened. NBC didn't think that Alexa Nikolas was well known enough that enough people would understand what was going on.
Keep it in mind, because I do think that that is most of why Alexa got so mad. This claim that she's irrelevant and that that is why the story did not go anywhere. She brings it up several times. It really, really seems to have bothered her.
This is the deep dive, you guys. It's kind of boring, right? But it's because I'm irrelevant. This is so fucked up. Adam, that article didn't come out not because I'm fucking irrelevant. Get real. Unbelievable.
We're both in the chat, by the way.
That's good. I'm glad you're here. You're mean.
Continuing to lie.
Oh, you're continuing to lie. Are you tired? God, I'm tired. That article didn't come out because it was defamatory about me. It was provably false. I'm not a con artist. It wasn't not giving people t-shirts when they paid for them. It just wasn't real. I'm not going to say you're irrelevant. You are relevant. You matter. So does Adam. Adam, you're relevant too. Surprise. Kind of weird, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're relevant. You're relevant. Don't ever fucking call me irrelevant again. Or anybody.
Adam obviously is still defending Kat in this video. As I've said, they're friends. And he talks about what he knows about this article.
And let me tell you something. I have seen the questions. And I think from a journalistic standpoint, it's important to get all sides of the story.
And he also mentions a bombshell that Alexa absolutely avoided in her own live stream. She addressed a few of the other things he mentioned in her roundabout full of bullshit sort of way, but she doesn't acknowledge this one at all.
I don't mean to jump ahead here, but I have received a document on Alexa's behalf from the one and only Andrew Brettler. Now, while I'll not put it on the screen, I can load it up right in front of me. Andrew Brettler, that Colleen Ballinger hired, by the way. And just a little part of it is our firm is litigation counsel to Alexa Nikolas and Eat Predators Incorporated. And now I have been sent this document of this, I guess, cease and desist. You know, I have it right here in front of me. I will say that it's alleged and I have been sent it. So this is not something that has been sent to me. It was something that was sent externally and I have received it. So I'm only going off of what I have in front of me. So I will say that this is all alleged.
I'm looking more into that for the follow-up for the long Alexa video. Let me know if you got anything on that. I would love to know. Thank you. Adam then reminds his viewers what he had already discussed in his first video about Alexa from back in, I think, April. Something that we've been discussing here on this channel since my first video about Drake Bell. Alexa's seeming abandonment of Drake Bell's victims as soon as she conceived of her former network colleague as a victim himself. Adam reads a tweet then that a lot of us in the, we'll call it the Drake Bell critical community on Twitter have been highly suspicious of for a very long time, where Alexa had claimed some months back to be in possession of hundreds of documents pertaining to Drake's reckless endangerment case, and that she was planning to make a video about it then. That video, like many Alexa has threatened, never came to fruition, though I imagine parts of what we ended up seeing in her late night live stream last night are close to what we would have seen in that. We'll get there. Let's stick with Adam just a little bit longer.
On March 23rd, 2024 of this year, for all those asking about my privated video, I now have every single report and all documents pertaining to that case. Let me clarify that. I now have every single report and all of the documents pertaining to that case. Put a pin in that. I will be going over each piece over the next few weeks and then going to revisit it via streaming. I am choosing to read diligently before I break it all down. These are hundreds of documents from the Cleveland police and court, not from a person. These are witness transcriptions and submitted evidence, etc. I need time to read it all, obviously, and I support all victims. Having full transparency with you, I had to ask Kat, how did Alexa Nikolas have access to every single report and all the documents pertaining to the case? And Kat says to me, and she has allowed me to say this, that she ended up calling the court and they said that typically the only way that someone would have all that is through lawyers. So I'm not going to say anything further on that. But Alexa Nikolas, after taking down her Drake Bell video, then tweets, I now have every single report and all the documents pertaining to the case.
Adam also talked about Alexa attending Drake Bell's recent concert, another thing that we've spoken about in a recent video here in the Nuance Corner. He also talked about Alexa's last tweet of the night from the first night in this 2-night Twitter ordeal, which I still don't really understand what Alexa was trying to get at, but I agree with his take on, so I'm playing this here. Yeah? You got something to say? What?
She had posted last night, free Britney Spears, free Britney until she's free and saying what she wants and dancing how she wants. You're all so lame and performative. You follow trends like a bot would. It's sad, honestly. I love who I am and I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But Alexa tweeted that last night, and I wasn't going to include this until she had tweeted that last night. In 2018, considering the Free Britney movement really started at the end of 2018, 2019, that's when I made my first Free Britney video, Alexa had posted Britney Spears, infamously in 2007, and said, everyone's 20s. And the comments even back then were saying, it's time to delete this.
Adam then concluded his video.
So in closing, with the way she's tweeting and acting right now and coming for everyone, threatening Kat of defamation for an article that never came out, lumping me into it now as well, completely backtracking on Drake Bell because she ultimately had to work with him on Quiet on Set, to the direct profiting off of these stories with merchandise. I confidently can't stand behind that. And I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot that I could dive into further, but I really want to keep this surface level, if I'm being honest with you, just on the basis of, like, Alexa, leave people alone. Like, leave people alone. All right, I will leave it there. Incoming Alexa Nikolas calling me a victim blamer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And he retweeted Alexa's catty tweet of his face and said, new video up now on my channel. Just iconic. That put us to Monday in America time, and Alexa put a link up at 10:36 my time, 7:36 her time. I think that's math, right? For a live stream that was scheduled to start at 1 a.m. my time and 11 p.m. or whenever her time. And I stayed up for the whole damn thing and then some. Alexa had tweeted the link to the YouTube video for it gives there's a chat that goes on before the video starts. So that was going on for a few hours ahead of the stream. I was in the live chat last night. I was in Alexa Nikolas's Eat Predators live chat. It was subscribers only mode, and I at first thought that meant that I had to be a member, a paying subscriber, but you just had to be subscribed for a couple of minutes, and then you could comment, and once people noticed that, things kind of got a little bit out of the control of the moderators. And by the moderators, I mean, and this has not yet come up in my Eat Predators videos, I don't think, Alexa's mother, along with her husband, moderate the chat on her live videos. And Listen, I've really left the mom out of it so far. Alexandra last night was in the live chat, and when people were getting a bit restless about being like 40 minutes after the scheduled start time for Alexa's video, she began suicide baiting on behalf of her daughter. I mean, that's just the best word I have for it. She said people kill themselves when they are bullied. And there are some other things we'll hear Alexa say about later on in the video that kind of echo similar. I mean, I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But it's just, I really did not like that. I don't like that. I would have thought it was weird her mom was involved no matter what. I haven't spoken to my mom since I was 18. But, like, why? Why would you have your mom making suicide threats on your behalf? Why? Well, I mean, I guess, and she says later on in the video that she thinks comments about her mental health are mean. And I do think, you know, I've been a lot shorter with her in this video than I typically am. What we see and why I have kind of like held back a lot of the clips that I'm going to be using until this far into the video, I always kind of joke that I self-select out for people who are going to be nuanced with me by not putting the juicy stuff right at the front, right? We see in this video a woman who is not having a great time in terms of being stable. However, that not great time that she's having is making her lash out at others who do not deserve it. And this is a pattern that we've seen her do several times. Yeah, this time she's doing it with a, like, badass lady journalist who can handle herself, but a lot of the other times she's done it, she hasn't been doing it to a feminist journalist with a big existing support base. She's been doing it to people who have been members of Eat Predators. She's been doing it to, I mean, just judging by what my understanding is of the members of Eat Predators, a lot of them likely marginalized people, certainly people who have been through trauma. So I'm tired of her getting to do this every time she feels like it. I'm tired of her going on stream and having a little bully session and getting patted on the back for it. So I'm talking about it even though it's clearly somebody who's not having the best mental health time, because I just don't think that not having the best mental health time should be an excuse to then go do whatever you want. Anyway, the live finally started like 40 minutes after it was scheduled to begin. And it starts like it always, I mean, it always opens up just on like the Eat Predators logo. And Alexa is like, I'm really tired, I don't know what to say. And then, and I timed it in my video editor, but I respect your time, so we're not sitting and watching the logo for 2 minutes. It was just the logo for 2 minutes. Like, I really thought the whole I don't know what to say was literal. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think it was. She certainly did not script before she sat down for that live, but still.
So tired. I don't even know what I'm going to say. Oh God, an applause for what? Don't scare Adam.
So Alexa began the live by speaking in the past tense, interestingly to a lot of us.
I'm just going to take my time because I can. You're all watching anyways. I really loved advocating for survivors. I really loved it. You'll never know how much I loved it and how much work I put into it. No, actually, Kat knows. I take that back. Kat knows exactly how much fucking work I put into it.
And she teased here in the intro, like you just saw, and like she did in her tweets and her thumbnail. She like peppers in that we're going to be talking about Kat Tenbarge today, but we don't quite stay there because first she wants to talk about how she had never quite thought about where predatory behavior came from.
And slowly I started to realize that what I wasn't fully aware of was the roots of abuse. I was so focused on predatory behavior that maybe I didn't want to look at the roots as a survivor. Maybe for my own healing journey, I wasn't ready to look at that. And then I learned quickly that the roots are there. That predatory behavior comes from somewhere. And that was a lot to process for me personally. That it comes from somewhere. And maybe I do need to look at that. Maybe we all need to look at that.
But the ways that she's describing it, the things she's saying, I don't know. It just feels like things that I'm sure a lot of us already remember her having spoken about in the past. Which I guess means we're now meant to understand that when she was previously saying it, it was just meaningless buzzwords to her, and then now she truly fully understands it because she's been blessed by the light of Drake Bell or whatever. Like, I don't know how else to take this. And shout out to my Nuance Corner friend who spoke to me about this. In that vulnerable episode that she was really mad that Christy Carlson Romano had deleted, which, by the way, was after they had a whole spat about Corey Feldman, who was himself, just like Drake Bell, both a victim and an abuser.
But honestly, it's the fact that Christy Carlson Romano had Predator on her show. So now the platform that I was on, I shared it with an alleged predator. It was confusing because this alleged predator is also a survivor. Very confusing. I even explained to her that sometimes survivors can become predators. It can happen. And she hearted it. Okay, maybe she's going to do something about that. Nothing. This was honestly months ago.
So I genuinely do not understand what we're meant to take away from learning that she didn't understand it and hadn't conceptualized it at that point when she was talking about it and making money off of it. Oh, and she also just full on admitted to not even wanting to stream to begin with, which we could tell.
I honestly didn't want to go live right now. So I'm just kind of processing the fact that I chose to do this right now, and but I needed to, because the reason why I was tweeting last night was because I felt sad and I felt angry at what I endured and what I had to leave behind because of how survivors treated me. I stood in the rain for survivors. I did so much for survivors, and I realized that it wasn't enough for them. For some. Not all, but for some.
I'm gonna condense a lot of these paranoid ramblings about Kat, but I am gonna leave a lot of this from before she really got rolling.
You know how I found you? It was during the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. That was a weird, maybe not as weird as tonight. No, maybe it was as weird as tonight. That was a scary time to be a survivor, and we all had to watch people laugh at trauma. Laugh when someone shares their story about what happened to them. TikTok video after TikTok video of people laughing at a survivor and nitpicking her about everything. Not giving the money to the nonprofit. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And you realize, wow, we're still here. But you weren't still there.
This is a rare time when I actually kind of agree with Alexa for part of what she's about to say.
You showed that you cared. And you were willing to go up against the Twitter bot bros or whatever, Depp heads, and honestly tell them what's up. And it was impressive and it was inspiring to me. You didn't let anyone discredit her, honestly, or pick her apart. And there weren't many journalists at that time that were doing that. Now it's people feel more comfortable. The evidence has come out. Isn't that always how it goes, Kat? But in the moment, it wasn't that. And you went against the grain. And that was inspiring to me. And so I started following you then. I just want to start this live with saying that was rad.
All this positive stuff about how Kat is such an amazing and tenacious feminist and what a strong voice she was during the Depp versus Heard trial. All of that I completely agree with, and that's a rare feeling for me now with Alexa. I very rarely will agree with a word out of that woman's mouth. I think Kat is amazing. I've already said that in this video. I'm going to say it again. We love Kat. It's the next part, though, that Alexa says.
But who are you now? Who are you now? What have you personally become? I saw it. And I was devastated by it.
It's actually a lot closer to how I feel about Alexa. It's how it's actually a way that, just based on the comments that I get about Alexa, I feel like it's a way that a lot of you watching also have felt about Alexa.
You gave in to misinformation. You started listening to the depheads, but in a way that I didn't even know was possible, honestly, to the point where you actually empowered my stalker.
So, yeah, I find a lot of these allegations against Kat to be pretty completely baseless, but I'm going to repeat them here for the sake of telling you this story. One of the big accusations is that Kat has enabled Alexa's stalker. We spend quite a lot of time talking about that in the live, so I'm condensing that quite a bit. I'll get into what Alexa seems to be saying by that later. But her other major accusation against Kat here is that Kat has started listening to the depheads. I want to talk about a feeling that I've had for a long time that felt kind of unfair to put in a video, because it's speculation. I mean, a lot of the things that I have assigned to what I'm saying, I think Alexa's motivations are. Obviously, that is all speculation. I don't know this woman. But I've had this working theory since before I even started my first video about Eat Predators that Alexa Nikolas, somewhere along the line, got it in her mind that she would automatically have a similar amount of support and a similar amount of supporters as there were feminists who were very defensive of Amber Heard. I've felt like this for a long time. I've always just kind of, in the back of my mind, the way that she talks about the Amber Heard thing, I really have felt like, oh, she, I think, wanted to be the next Amber Heard, which is kind of a fucked up thing to accuse somebody of wanting, but it is just, that's where my brain has been, and I've never had a justified enough reason to say that out loud in a video, because it's kind of mean, but like, I mean, God, fucking look at this. Look at how mad she is based only on the fact that she knows that Kat is supportive of Amber, and yet she's acting like it is a betrayal that she would be questioned at all by somebody who has, like, been supportive of Amber.
I want to start with what you emailed me in April. No, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for Adam either. What you emailed me in April was honestly bizarre behavior. I could not believe that it was you, that you would do that.
The thing is, though, is that these really do seem like fair questions to me. I mean, obviously, I think that it is very fair to have questions about Alexa, because I've spent hours going over those in my videos. Here's the thing, though. I know inherently that my videos are a little bit unfair. My videos are unfair to Alexa because I'm not a journalist, because I make YouTube videos, I am Ophi YouTube videos. I don't have to offer her the right to respond to anything that I say about her in my videos. I mean, I say, like, I'm being nuanced. I try to present what I think her side of the story could be, but, like, I don't have to ask her for a response, and I'm never going to do that about somebody that I'm making a video criticizing. It's not my job to do that. It is, however, Kat's job to do that, because Kat is a journalist. She's a reporter. She's doing journalism. So for NBC, for Kat's story, Kat had to offer Alexa the right to respond to it, and Alexa getting that right could have made that story a lot more compassionate towards her had she had any answers that made her look good. What Alexa saw, though, wasn't a chance to tell her side of the story or to make herself look good or competent. She saw an attack. And so because she saw an attack, Alexa tells us a lie. She tells us a lot of lies in this live, but I'm focusing on this one in particular because this one is just Christ.
That you would use your job to try and scare me because you were mad that I didn't read your article when it came to Drake Bell.
Alexa's big lie is that Kat's article that was going to come out about her was revenge, because Alexa didn't want to read Kat's article about Drake Bell. No, really, that's the claim. Alexa did not want to read Kat's article because Kat's article included somebody on Twitter who was critical of Alexa and who Alexa felt like was harassing her. So therefore, Alexa refused to read Kat's article and assumes that somebody following up on, I'm sure multiple reporters have been reached out to and asked to cover the whole fallout with Eat Predators. Like, I don't understand how I used the word paranoid earlier because it's the only one I can. This is a paranoid reading of the situation. This is her drawing conclusions that are not there.
Kat, I didn't read your article about the harassment of Drake Bell's reported survivors because you platformed someone by the name of Exposing Rich, who you were watching regularly harass me daily, by the hour, almost by the minute, senselessly. And I found your article hypocritical. Okay, if you're going to stand for survivors not being harassed, you don't choose which ones don't deserve harassment. And that hurt my feelings. So I didn't want to read that article, but I didn't know at what lengths you would go to get even about that. But I found out. I highly,
highly doubt that Kat Tenbarge was mad that Alexa did not read her article about Drake Bell for an Eat Predators stream or whatever she's trying to imply here, and that then made her look into Alexa. I'm sure Kat was probably tipped off by the same exact fucking things I was as to why Alexa so clearly has no morals or any, like, reasoning behind what she's doing other than her own vanity. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It takes the length of Alexa's live, really, to break down the email from Kat. So if that's what you're here for, we'll go through the email right now. I'm going to read the opening part, and then you can pause to read the questions if you'd like, or we'll get to the questions as we go through my condensed version of Alexa's live together.
So let's go and read your email. Hello. This is Kat Tenbarge with NBC News in New York City. I've been trying to get in contact with Alexa about this over the past couple of weeks. Should have tried harder. And I'd be happy to discuss more over a call. Our deadline for a response is Wednesday, April 17th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the next day. That's less than 24 hours you gave me to respond to this nonsense. We can discuss if more time is needed to respond. In late March, a former member of Eat Predators reached out to me. They shared more concerning information about the group, and I started to research and speak to people who were formerly involved. Now NBC is working on an article about our findings. Cool. Where's that article? Since the explosive premiere of Quiet on Set, I've been reporting on the fallout from the docuseries. I worked on this article. We know the article you're upset about. We get it. About Drake Bell. One of the first things I noticed was that Alexa had pivoted away from supporting Bell's anonymous victim in 2021 Ohio case, unlisting her YouTube video about it, and began supporting Bell after Quiet on Set debuted with its focus on him. I have since spoken to 5 former members of Eat Predators. What, the 5 that I already made videos about with the receipts? Those ones? I already did all the emotional labor showing you what happened. Okay. Reviewed dozens of hours of Alexa's YouTube content, read and watched news coverage of Eat Predators, reviewed thousands of social media posts, and reviewed legal documentation in connection with Alexa's restraining order against a former EP member, as well as his recently filed request for a civil harassment restraining order against Alexa. My questions for Alexa are below. I can accept written responses to these questions and or a written statement. Or we can discuss the questions during an on-the-record phone call. Each question pertains to something that we plan to include in the story.
And then you can just pause to read here. So, unsurprisingly, the mention here of her focus changing to Drake Bell really was most of what we focused on during last night's stream. Something I feel like Alexa has explained to us a ton of times, just over and over again. Like, she thinks that if she just keeps making the same tearful speech about how much she pities Drake Bell, all of us will also feel that way and forget that we don't like this way that she has thrown her morals in the garbage for this man.
I didn't find out that Drake Bell was part of that documentary until like 10 hours before the whole world knew. I had no fucking clue that he was in that documentary. I didn't know he was a victim. And when I found out, especially during that time that was already so much to process, it shook me. Like how I began this episode, I wasn't looking at the roots, okay? I was too busy eating predators. And when I found out that Drake Bell was a survivor, it changed me a little bit. And that's okay. I think it should have changed us all, honestly. Because it's not about excusing his behavior, but it was about understanding a little bit about the cycle.
It's like there's a refusal to understand that people might genuinely disagree, that we understand her argument but don't agree with her. Like, she thinks if she just keeps saying it, she's going to get through, I guess. And I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a successful strategy at this point. I think she's going to continue alienating more and more people if she continues this way, but she's claiming she's not going to continue. So I'll try to focus on this as if it really is the end. But yeah, she goes over it all. Again, her flip-flopping on the victim because of the fact that she felt so bad about Drake Bell. We knew all of this.
And I saw him as not only someone that I felt harmed someone, but I also saw him harmed. And I just wanted to reassess myself in that moment. And so I took the video down because in that moment, a survivor was talking. He was sharing his story. I just wanted to listen.
Alexa is willing and apparently completely able to completely set aside the reality of Drake's victims to focus instead on imagining the child who he was, who she can relate to.
And when I looked back at the YouTube video that I made about Drake Bell, I saw me trauma responding a little bit and maybe not being the best I could be when it came to addressing that. Specifically the end of that video with the balloon and his kid. I felt bad for his kid and I felt bad for Drake Bell. I did. I felt bad that I didn't see that I just saw him as I dehumanized him with the word predator. And that's okay too. But I saw a person now that I heard his story, and I didn't know what to do. I had alleged dad on his shirt. Sure, you might think he deserves it. And I'm not even gonna sit here and debate that. But there is a kid there in him, and he has a kid.
This is some of the most literal infantilization of a grown man that I have ever heard. If I made that up as something that I was saying to make fun of Alexa, I would think to myself, Ophi, that's a little too far. That's a little mean. Nobody would say that. Are you fucking kidding me? There's a child here, and he has a child. He's the main child in this situation. Do you know who I think the main child is in this situation as far as the whole Drake Bell endangerment thing is concerned? I think it's the literal minor. I think it's the teenage girl. I don't think that him, decades ago, is younger than the teenage girl was, who he recklessly endangered. Alexa wants badly to have it both ways, to be able to betray victims as she picks and chooses, while also claiming that since she supports survivors as a category, it doesn't matter all of these individual victims who she betrays and undermines, that she's constantly doing, just every few months and then making a Guess Who about, can't actually matter. As long as it's in favor of whoever her new favorite is, be that Drake Bell, be that maybe, I don't know, Nick Carter, whose defamation trial she just testified in against a survivor who she's previously defamed. Another thing we're going to talk about in the next long video. This girl is up to too much for me to get it all into one, I'm sorry. She also outright admitted that her focus shifted when she learned about the support letters for Brian Peck, which, like, yeah, girl, we knew. We all knew that. If you've watched my old videos about her, you already knew that, because that was one of the first things I pointed out about her. And then Alexa starts talking about the documents, and she is super vague about both what she saw in these documents and how she got them, or what was exactly in them that made her flip so much on the victim, though she does make it pretty clear that she's flipped on this victim. Especially, again, another thing for the longer video, but I do want to contrast that at some point with the deleted video where she was very much on this victim's side, because this is just really gross in comparison. It made me really upset. We'll talk. We have the statement she read in this. She read her statement to Kat in this live, so we'll get to that. But she's a hypocrite. She's a fraud. And I'm glad that she's claiming she's done with YouTube. I hope it's the one thing she's ever told the truth about this whole time she's been pretending to be an activist. Also, just, before we move on here, on the subject of her betraying survivors, it's not just this Drake Bell survivor, it's also, the ones who she's previously defamed with Guess Who streams and the like. But she says this while she's in the middle of doing all of this Drake Bell apologia.
If I found out tomorrow that the person who abused me was abused, I might need to take a look at that and what that means.
Which I try very hard not to say ever in my videos that I don't believe Alexa, but holy shit, this I do not believe. So many of the people who Alexa has abused, denigrated, publicly harassed, started campaigns against, so many of them have been victims of abuse. Again, like the one she just testified for Nick Carter for. So why does it change how she would conceive of somebody who abused her, but it doesn't conceive of how she thinks of somebody who has just done something she thinks is bad near her? We're supposed to believe she would be more forgiving to her abuser than she has been to these random vulnerable people she's gathered near her? Or is that only the case for a man, and that's why that works? Or is that only for former child actors on the same television network that you worked on for a couple of seasons? I'm avoiding the word celebrity very consciously because, as we'll see later on in her responses to Kat's email, she felt that it was dehumanizing to be referred to as a celebrity advocate for Eat Predators. I don't think it's that hard of a request to abide by to not call her a celebrity advocate, because I guess, she's neither an advocate nor a celebrity, so. Let's move on to these actual questions now that she says that it was abusive and coercive for Kat to ask her.
What's the big deal? So what, a child star from Zoe 101, a celebrity, did this? Well, maybe again, we all need to reevaluate how we label people. Maybe we dehumanize people by labeling them. Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Maybe we're not going to create that much change if we're constantly labeling people, human life. Maybe it's time for us to be looking at them as humans. Kind of like what ended up happening with me with Drake Bell. But it's not because I don't believe victims, Adam, Kat. It's because I started to look at predatory behavior in a new way, and I was allowed to. And I wanted time to do that. And you wanted to bully me and force me into talking about it, and I wasn't ready. That's coercion. That's not okay behavior. When I want to talk about it, I will. But what you did, Kat, to try to get me to talk about it was abusive. It was. You like wanted to make me feel, you wanted to punish me. Felt like punishment. I just spent 3 days. I have 2 kids. Sending you that evidence. And just watching it all happen again. What I already explained and already showed. I had to go through it again. You re-traumatized me. Do you understand? You re-victimized me. You made me feel not believed. So I don't fucking like that you're dissing me for not believing Drake Bell's a victim, which is not true. While you don't believe, though, a victim of stalking. Who are you? It's hypocritical. Welcome to human life. But I'm still going to look at you as a human. All right, so the quiet on set, I began supporting Belle. Now you know why. Get it? The first question you asked me was, what are Alexa's credentials and professional experience regarding victim advocacy? Has she ever worked for or been involved in any other advocacy groups besides ePredators? Does she have any training, such as from the National Organization for Victim Advocacy?
I had to sleep at some point, but I'm wearing stripes in both shoots, so we can pretend there's a little more continuity than there is, right? I've already given away that I think that Kat's questions for Alexa were pretty reasonable, and this first one I think is extremely reasonable, as well as one we all pretty much already knew the answer to. One I'm sure Kat knew the answer to when she asked, but again, because she's like an actual big girl journalist, she did have to ask and confirm the answer we all knew. And now she has, and we all know. No, Alexa does not have any certification. We already know that. I would have put money down on that a couple months ago if I had money and you asked me. But, you know, now Alexa has officially answered that.
Do you? Because I'm pretty positive that I heard that you didn't. And don't you interview survivors? Shouldn't you maybe be trauma-informed? And actually, no. I'm sorry, Kat, to let you know that I don't have any other credentials than being a survivor, than experiencing it firsthand. That's how I learned. I'd advocate for survivors. I'm not saying I'm perfect all the time, but that's what brought me into that space.
And, I mean, she attempted 2 different diversions there. I want to acknowledge both of them because I'm pretty sure they were rolled together the way a lot of things where she would deflect something and then immediately cover it with something else or say, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, like that clip earlier. Like in that earlier clip where she's like, oh, is that a surprise, Adam, to be called relevant? I'm just kidding. But then, like, continued with something else. That's kind of what I feel like she did here. Because she did attempt, I mean, we all saw it. She attempted to flip it around on Kat with that, do you, are you? And obviously I'm more likely to respond to that second thing if I weren't making such an in-depth video about it. But, you know, I realized earlier while I was editing what I have so far that my video is almost definitely going to end up being longer than Alexa's live. But, you know, I'm not making you sit in silence for a couple minutes while I find more words. I'm writing down what I'm going to say ahead of time and then cutting out my dead air. So hopefully it doesn't feel as long as that hour and 40-minute live felt, even if this ends up being long. Because I'm showing you a lot of what she said. And I didn't even get into all of the Twitter beef earlier. People who had watched this go down in real time have probably already noticed that. There is much more to be said about Alexa and the documents, but it hasn't come up yet. It will. It's one of Kat's questions. Those of you who paused to read already know. But that first deflection, the one where she's trying to turn this around on Kat with that do you, I want to call attention to that because, number one, that is the Darvo that we're going to be seeing from Alexa for the whole rest of this video and, you know, that we have already been seeing, but it's really on display there. But it's also it's an irrelevant question. Kat does not have a job where it makes as much sense to question if she has those credentials, because Kat is a journalist. So the credentials to question for Kat would be the ones regarding her journalism, her education regarding journalism, not. And Alexa does attempt to throw some discrediting things towards Kat a bit later. Again, when we're going to be talking about the documents, we'll get into that. But it all just betrays Alexa not only not understanding what her responsibility was during the time when she was pretending to be a survivor advocate, but also just not understanding journalism. But of course, we're going to talk about that other deflection too, and I feel like I've already talked about a lot of this. I feel like you already know how I feel about this, but I'm going to say it again. Having gone through something traumatic is terrible and altering and traumatizing. It does not make you an expert in anything else about trauma other than that one particular thing that you lived through in the circumstance where it happened to you, and how your brain and your body and your psyche responded to it. You are the expert in that. You are the person who knows the absolute most about your own trauma. That is unfortunately not communicable, knowledge. It's not a level of intelligence that then translates into other things unless you're very intentional about it. The things that I've learned about how trauma works and how people should work through trauma, I did not learn by being abused as a child. I learned them from being in therapy for those things and by doing reading outside of therapy. And also, importantly, anytime I talk about it, I make clear that that's where I have learned that I'm somebody who is not an expert, but who has spent some time in spaces and learned some things. Personal experience, yes, is important, but it does not make you any sort of an expert, and pretending that it does is frankly dangerous. Alexa doesn't understand that, though. She denigrates, actually, the entire concept of being trauma-informed. Again, as you've just seen, immediately after trying to turn it around like it's bad that Kat is not trauma-informed, because Alexa is throwing handfuls of uncooked spaghetti at the wall. Nothing sticking.
And to be honest with you, I looked at how trauma certification works, and it's just a quiz. Just a quiz. Yeah, sure, it is important. I get it. But it really, at the end of the day, it's just school. I know what it's like to be a victim firsthand, sadly. And that's what moved me to advocate for them. I'm not really sure what the point of the question was, but I hope that answers it for you.
And with the way that she shits on this whole concept, we can see she's confirming that she is not only not educated or qualified, but she is fully uninterested in pursuing any education or qualification. But I guess, at least she's finally admitting that.
Since when does a survivor have to be trauma informed? It's called experiencing trauma enough to the point where you know what it's like to be a victim. How much trauma do you have to endure to know how to advocate? Every survivor has the right to advocate for other survivors. They don't need to take a certificate online, do a few quizzes, and then be like, I'm trauma informed.
And I do have to acknowledge this point because it made me laugh out loud in my apartment in the middle of the night when my roommates were asleep. Another thing up there with there's a kid there and he has a child, where I would feel bad for saying it as a joke. Since when do survivors need to be trauma informed? She really said that? She said that to there weren't, all of her subscribers were not there, but when a YouTuber says something, they're saying it to the amount of subscribers they have, right? She said that to 90,000 people. Since when does a survivor need to be trauma informed? Baby girl, girly pop. A survivor does not need to be trauma informed until they start a corporation, an organization. You called it a survivor-led collective. Why do you think that you wouldn't have needed to have any education or qualification to do that? Nobody has to be educated or perfect or trauma-informed to just be a survivor, but Alexa is obfuscating because she was not trying to just be a survivor. She was trying to be the survivor, the leader, the fearless, courageous spirit behind the Eat Predators Collective, or whatever language they used on the website. She does a lot more of that obfuscating later, insisting that this is just a podcast, but, like, she has not used the word podcast when she's been able to avoid it, because she has gotten a lot of mileage out of making Eat Predators appear to be something bigger, more thoughtful, more organized, and frankly more qualified than it is. I did sort of skate through some of Alexa's Twitter shenanigans from before she did her live, just because I knew we were going to be spending so much time talking about the documents now. So this is another Twitter interaction that happened before the live, but we've been, you know, I've tried to keep mostly chronological, but I've assumed it's been something you've been able to keep up with so far, where I've slid things in a little bit out of order. After Adam's video, but before Alexa's response to it, Alexa tweeted, "Gotcha!" and a screenshot of her conversation with Kat from back, apparently, when Kat had been asking for a comment on the story about Eat Predators. So the messages are sent from Alexa to Kat, because obviously Alexa's the one posting the screenshot. "Hey Kat, sorry, I know you said you didn't want the Drake Bell docs on the phone from the Cleveland police records. We obviously spoke about them being publicly available. Are you sure? Putting the file together." And then another message, "Thursday by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, look for a WeTransfer." And then Kat responded, "If you want to include the Drake Bell docs in the file, that would be fine by me, but no pressure either way. I'll let you know when I get the WeTransfer notification. Thank you." And Alexa responded, "My response and evidence will be on a Google Drive. We needed more space. I'll let you know when it's sent over." And I'm not really sure what she thought the gotcha moment was there, especially because Kat responded very quickly and said, "This was before I confirmed with the Cleveland court that these docs were not publicly available, and before I opened the files you sent me and saw they were also unredacted and bore no evidence of being submitted to court in the first place. It was very disturbing." And another tweet, "All this proves is that you have been sending around sealed documents from Drake Bell's court case unprompted, as the text from you shows I did not want them and you insisted, all in an effort to undermine his underage victim's testimony that you previously defended." Someone else responded to Alexa's tweet and said, "Offering to send sealed documents that contain information regarding a minor is insane. Publicly admitting to doing that is even more insane." And Alexa retweeted that and said, "These are not sealed to my knowledge at all. WTF are you talking about? This is actually weird AF. I showed Kat how to get them from the police for her proposed story about Drake Bell that is still not out. 'Cause he is irrelevant too? This is dumb." I am going to read you Kat's response, but first of all, her proposed story about Drake Bell is out. I also don't understand why Alexa thinks it's not out if she also thinks Kat is mad that she hasn't read it. But, you know, Alexa clearly was just saying fucking whatever. And Kat responded, "You did no such thing. That would be called a Freedom of Information Act request, and it would take months/years to get docs back, and they would be heavily redacted if you ever received them at all. They certainly would not send hundreds of docs containing private info like you sent me." Alexa claimed on Twitter and claims again in the video, so I'm just going to show you the part later on when she says it in the video, that she was trying to teach Kat how to request the information. But something that I noticed and that I know other people on Twitter noticed, the way that she phrases it is very, to my knowledge, these aren't sealed. She doesn't outright tell us the process through which she got them. It's very interesting, and it's even more interesting in, as you'll see in the follow-up for this question, the way she's dodging it. We'll get to it. I just wanted to bring that up because it was another thing that people already knew they were upset with her about before this whole live. And for all of the times that Alexa threatens, and she threatens quite a few times throughout this live, that she is going to drop the entire drive that Kat had access to and let everybody make their own decisions, there is not once a moment of realization of what she's threatening to do, that this is actually information about a minor, an actual, like, somebody who was a child at the time of this court case.
But Kat, you got this. When did you get this statement from me? And you've been seeing people tweeting about me not supporting the victim? You read that in April. You read that. You've been looking at this evidence since April. I think I'm going to put on a drive, to be honest with you, and let everyone read it. Why are you letting Adam be a mean girl, a mean kid, a mean adult, and say that it's because I'm irrelevant? Why? Why? That's false, and you know that. I'm going to leak the drive. Kat, I'm dropping the drive of all of the evidence. And then we can let people decide if the article didn't come out because I was irrelevant or not. This is going to be fun. Not at all.
Alexa has lost the goddamn plot. And rather than question 2 reminding her of that, it just doubles her down into her defensiveness, because of course it does. But question 2 was an attempt, I think, to a little bit ask her why she lost the plot so hard after she unlisted that video about Drake Bell's victim from the 2021 case.
Alexa stated in a live stream YouTube video on April 15th that she took down her video about Drake Bell's 2021 case because of an error in a New York Times piece that she cited. Does she stand behind the overarching points made in the video, like her support of the victim's impact statement? I wish I had the bravery at the time to confront you bullies then and say it wasn't just about the New York Times article that I was reading, but also what I was processing as a human being. It was a lot more than that, but I wasn't ready to talk about it. Do I stand behind the victim? I stand behind the victim's bravery.
Not a yes. Not a yes. I know you're smart enough to have caught that when she said, "Do I stand behind the victim? I stand behind the victim's bravery." But that's not a yes. It's not, and she won't give a yes. She very, very much does not give a yes. She thinks we're all too stupid to notice she's not giving a yes, but not only is she not giving a yes, but like, what else does going to Drake Bell's fucking concert portray other than the fact that she is all in on Drake Bell, right? She's claiming like, oh, and I didn't excuse him. What other, I mean, really, genuinely, because she seems to think Drake Bell is the only survivor turned predator. But like, if I told her Diplo had a traumatic backstory, is he allowed to do concerts and she's gonna not criticize anybody who shows up? Remember, she was trying to cancel Kesha just for performing at the same concert as her abuser. Kesha. But okay, fine. You support the survivor's bravery. I totally believe you about that. Yeah, totally in line with your actions too, especially going backstage at his concert.
And I think I answered it pretty well right here to you directly, Kat. I support all survivors. For me, that means supporting survivorhood. I can support Drake and his survivorship and at the same time want him to break the cycle of abuse. E-predators, power to survivors, means power within. That means we are no longer dependent. That includes not being dependent on me. I don't need anyone to believe me.
Is that true? That she doesn't need anyone to believe her? Because I think a lot of what she's said so far in this live is that she's very upset that she feels because Kat had questions, because Kat is a journalist, that Kat did not believe her. I'm just pointing that out. I mean, I know this is never going to actually make a difference in the things that she's saying, but she's clearly not being challenged on this by anyone when she's actually saying it. She's being enabled is what's happening. She should have not been live the other night. People who cared about her should have said, hey, maybe we wait. Maybe we film something and edit it and then see how you feel. But that's not what happened.
I have power within. And I want other survivors to feel that power too. I do not support Drake Bell explicitly talking to a 15-year-old girl. Even if he claims he did not know her age until he asked. I can't see it anymore. I don't support that. I support the victim's bravery, and I'm glad she got to be heard. And get justice for the ways in which she was harmed.
I don't think she got a lot of justice, and I'm pretty sure in that deleted video, Alexa says, it wasn't enough justice. She only got a little bit of justice. But now that Drake Bell is her best friend and giving her VIP backstage passes to his concert, that victim got plenty of justice, huh? And Alexa only wishes that was her experience. Also, fuck this. I cut out the part where she said that the witness testimonies did not support the victim's statement in its entirety. We fucking know that the witnesses were people who are, like, hired by Drake Bell. I don't give a shit what those people think. Alexa used to be the kind of person who didn't give a shit either.
Alexa said she recently obtained sealed documents. First of all, where the fuck do you... I never said I obtained sealed documents. You are all saying that. I said I got documents. Never said they were sealed. I think actually at one point I tweeted saying they're not sealed. And also, Kat, why are you lying about them not being redacted? I have the proof of the Google Drive of what documents were sent to you. I gave you redacted documents that are from the police. And you went on Twitter, and instead of talking about what really I think you should be talking about, which is that you looked at the evidence, and it's not because I'm irrelevant, please go full screen, because I really want, Kat, you're watching. I really want to talk to you. You had a quick time to finally start talking now, and you lied. That's weird. Including submitted evidence and witness transcriptions. Did Bell or someone in connection with Bell provide Alexa with these documents?
She's extremely vague about what it is she found in these documents. Again, I hope she does not leak these documents. I don't know where she got them. She is insistent that it wouldn't matter if she did get them from Drake Bell.
Kat, I taught you how to get the documents. These aren't... You know what? Also, wait, you know what? I'm actually going to answer this question in a different way this time. What if they did give it to me? What if someone in connection with Drake Bell gave me these like documents that you can just go get? What does that change, really? I don't really understand the question. I think it's because you still were listening to Twitter and thinking these documents were sealed, maybe. But no, they're not sealed. And no, Drake Bell did not give them to me. But even if he did do that, what does that even matter? These are actual documents. It's evidence. I don't really get the point of the question.
It obviously would. I mean, the fact that she doesn't understand why people would think that that would color why she's covering something the way she is tells me that she thinks we're all incredibly stupid. But also, you know, maybe she didn't get it from Drake Bell, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I don't know exactly who I think she got them from, but I do think that Alexa Nikolas had enough clout that if anybody did have their hands on this and she said, hey, can I have that, please? I want to defend him, they would have said, yeah, sure. But I'm also not ruling out that she might have gotten them from her buddy. Again, she got backstage passes to his fucking concert from him, so she's getting something. And question 4 here, I mean...
In February 2023, Alexa told Rolling Stone she planned to refile her SA and grooming suit against Milos. What is the status of that case? Was it refiled? None of your fucking business. See how these questions, though, are like how they're... Are you guys getting the vibe that Kat doesn't like me? Are you getting the vibe that Kat was honestly just trying to, I don't know, make me feel like shit?
Again, I already called this a paranoid reading. I especially don't think of all the questions that this is one that implies that Alexa is not liked. It's a very simple follow-up to something Alexa has been speaking about publicly. Something she's spoken about publicly on the Just Trish podcast. It does not appear that that lawsuit is moving forward. It appears that that lawsuit is not moving forward. Again, this is according to what she said on the Just Trish podcast, because she herself has previously signed something saying that she was not going to pursue further legal action against her ex-husband. And I'm saying nothing about whether or not she should be able to, but I am saying that's the kind of thing that somebody would find in a document and decide to disbelieve her, and that she would be really fucking upset if they did, right? So I don't really give a fuck what she thinks she found in these hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't think she should be spreading it around. I don't think she should leak it on the internet. I don't think she should have sent it to a journalist. I especially don't think she should be pretending like she has some kind of moral upper hand over a journalist, because the journalist didn't want to accept documents from her that she didn't have any right to be handing over in the first place.
Told you about the Drake Bell documents. I told you about my feelings and what I was processing. Heard that you were writing an article about Drake Bell. I asked you, since you're a journalist, do you want the documents? And you said no. Huh? I said, do you want to know how to go and get them since they're not sealed? Since you asked me if I got them from Drake Bell. No, I didn't. I didn't get them from Drake Bell. And I told you how to get them, but you said no. And I found that a little bit also concerning behavior. Because you want a journalist to not be biased.
This was another moment that made me laugh while I was watching it, because, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you saying? You thought that a journalist will just read anything and then be like, okay, well, I can use that. No, that's not how it works. Again, Alexa does not understand journalism.
And this is not about not believing the survivor. Just, don't you want to support the survivor properly? Instead of getting your sourcing from Twitter? Hell? I thought you were a better journalist than that. I thought you had more integrity. I believed in you. But you didn't want those documents. I found that weird. I didn't like that feeling. Because I want journalists to, like, want to know all the information. It scares me when they don't. And also, really made me understand you more. Because then when I read the questions you asked me, I realized you care more about getting your sourcing from Twitter than you do from, like, evidence. Factual evidence. In my opinion. This is my personal experience. Based on information from 3 sources with direct knowledge and claims, like, oh, and there it is, made in legal documentation. Is it correct that attorneys, oh, and here it is, Kat. Here is proof that you were using my stalker's filing, which was to further harass me and my family. And maybe to get you to send this email. Including former California Senator Joe Dunn, encouraged Alexa and other survivors in the entertainment industry to form an advocacy group. No. That's not true. Is it correct that Dunn held an unofficial advisory role, encouraging the group to establish an organizational structure and legally reviewing ePredator's materials? Dude, I don't even know what the fuck's happening. Joe Dunn is done, by the way. Joe Dunn just lost a lawsuit from the state bar, I'm pretty sure, for being an unethical lawyer. I don't support Joe Dunn. Okay? I honestly want nothing to do with the guy.
Obviously, this one really upset Alexa. I'm just going to play some of her response to it. She's also already mentioned this in the live at this point. She's really, really offended by the implication that Joe Dunn had anything to do with the formation of ePredators.
So yeah, he was encouraging a lot of survivors. However they would find their voice, he encouraged it, honestly. I'm still not really understanding the question. But to form an advocacy group, no, that just naturally happened. He would connect survivors with one another. That's what I saw him do. You're not alone. Here's this one. And you know what's so sad? There's so many survivors. And you realize you're not alone. And that's what he did. There's not like a conspiracy. There's not a conspiracy behind it. Just introducing people. But I started protesting. I started choosing the places to go protest. So no, Joe Dunn is not like the man behind the woman. Like, also I found that really, like, it was misogyny to me. Because I feel like women, like, we're never believed. But also, people don't believe that we're, like, capable of doing things that are powerful. That sucks. It's a man, it's a white dude that was a California senator that did this? What What La La Land are you all living in? I should never even been asked that question. It doesn't even make any sense. Did he legally review ePredator's material? First of all, he was my lawyer at one point. Sometimes I would send him a protest sign and go, am I safe here?
And as I've already mentioned, and she brings up in question 6 when she answers it, she is deeply offended by the characterization of herself as a celebrity ambassador.
Based on information from 3 sources with direct knowledge, is it correct that Alexa initially assumed a highly visible ambassador role? Wow. Within ePredators as the member with the largest pre-existing social media following. So you just wanted me to be the person like selling Neutrogena. Again, dehumanizing me. What? Because I'm a celebrity. That had to be it. There's no way that like a celebrity or a child actor, a privileged person, I don't even know whatever, could ever do something that mattered and did it herself. There had to be somebody else doing it for her. Whew. You feel this like dehumanizing, just dehumanizing.
All right, question 7 is very similar to the last couple, which means we can already pretty much guess how Alexa is going to respond to it as well. I mean, in general, she's not a very surprising person to me. I feel like this is maybe just I've made myself an expert in Alexa by watching so many of her videos and making so many videos about her. But again, just this woman is not capable of like actually surprising me, because I can think to myself like, what's the worst way she could handle this, and then that's what she does. Threatening to leak the drive. I mean, also just I can't stop thinking this as I've been watching this live, because I had to watch it a couple of times to isolate the clips. I just really think that all of this smear campaign, the months that she's been spending trying to pick this fight with Kat on Twitter, and then now she has, and it's obviously not going very well. You can look at the comments on this live, and we will after we finish recapping it. It's not going very well for her.
How would Alexa respond to the characterization that she is crafting a revisionist history of the origins of ePredators? I'm gonna have some yerba mate. Well, he drinks White Claw. What does Adam have to say?
It's not a great look, I'm gonna be honest.
It's really not, though. It's really not. How would I respond? It's fucking false. Revisionist what? You actually saw receipts that I made the ePredators protest. I mean, how much do you guys need to see of this anymore? I'm exhausted of myself.
I really just think, compared to all of this, even if Kat's article probably, yes, would have done some damage to ePredators and its reputation, it would not have done as much damage as this live stream did if the article just came out, had the information in it, and said, Alexa Nikolas did not immediately respond to our request. Instead, she has dug herself a great big hole. And that hole gets deeper and deeper with questions 8, 9, and 10, which all kind of pertain to Alexa's defamatory Guess Who streams about former members.
Based on information from 5 sources, with direct knowledge and public social media posts, is it fair to say that Alexa has driven internal and external conflicts regarding ePredators, including personal attacks against other members and efforts to turn the rest of the group against specific members? Kat, what did you find out? Full screen. What did you find out? That I was being attacked. That I was being bullied. That I was being mistreated.
And Alexa is just outright belligerent about this. She's very insistent that those videos that she already made should speak for themselves. I mean, she already said that just when she was reading the email the first time. She really thinks that just because she made these videos bullying people who used to work for her, that should automatically be what everybody assumes is the truth about those people, no matter what they have to say to defend themselves.
Why has Alexa used the ePredators YouTube channel to attack former members of the group? What purpose does this serve within victim advocacy? I don't know. Why are you trying to make articles about me, Kat? Why are you making articles about Drake Bell? He's a victim. I'm a victim. What's the point of it? Not attacking. It's reporting. When someone commits crimes, Kat, violence, I'm reporting like you. But if you really listen to my videos when I was doing all of that, it was about survivors divided. It was about trying to get survivors to understand how we actually ruin, how maybe it's not predators that we necessarily have to be worried about ruining the movement, but us dividing. And I think I made that very fucking clear. My intention, yeah, I was upset. I was standing up for myself. Crimes were happening. I was reporting on it, trying to protect the survivor community, because I was also reopening the Discord. And I was very scared. I just didn't want this to happen again. And it did. Didn't matter how much work, how much reporting I did. It still happened again. So what's the point of you writing the Drake Bell article? What's the point of you doing this? This is what I'm dealing with. This is actually, the more I read it, the more I can't believe it.
She thinks the videos should speak for themselves. And I guess, I mean, I said earlier I was only in agreement with her about the kind of things she said about Kat. Technically, Alexa and I do agree that these Guess Who videos speak for themselves. But for me, the thing that they speak is, oh, Alexa is an unsafe person who should not be looked to for leadership, guidance, or to act fairly to people who have been in her employ. And she thinks they speak for themselves in the, oh, this exonerates her and makes me hate everybody that she hates just as much as she hates them kind of way. And it just doesn't.
Did Alexa and or an ePredators YouTube moderator delete comments on ePredators live streams and or live chats containing information disputing the claims of former members stealing money from survivors? I don't even know what the question is. I mean, I get what the question is. That GoFundMe was from hell.
There are a couple of things that she's pretty equally belligerent about, sidestepping away from the questions for just a moment, but we'll get back there. She defends her use of the still that she used of Adam, which she claims everyone should have just known was from when he said it's not a great look, which, like, that's not, if it's not a GIF, you can't assume anybody knows the context from it, but I think she knows that.
Again, it's about ratio, and you're smarter than me, and I'm irrelevant. My God, you just tell on yourself. Just be a better fucking human being, please. And then, God forbid, when I post Kat, it was like the first image I found on Google. Then, Adam, when I made a still of you, the still was not to make that you look bad. You guys are so mean that all you see is meanness. That's how you are. That's what you are. That's how you behave. I show that still because that's when you said, this is not a good look. And you were, I was like, this is what you're going to be like when you watch this video. It's a joke. I wasn't trying to, you didn't look bad, Adam. You look great. Never said that. You're like that, though. And that's sad. Kat, that was a photo I found of you, honestly, on Google. I was like, this is the reason for my break. You, Kat. Why are we making it about looks? Never said that. I'm not like you. I'm not like you. And I'm glad I'm not.
She also defended her tacky Nickelodeon t-shirt, which Adam had mentioned being something she had gotten justified criticism for in his video. She's still really mad that anybody got any kind of off vibe from that.
Do you guys like my t-shirt? I'm sure you don't. I wonder why the hatred came about this t-shirt too. I'm allowed, you understand that I am a survivor of Nickelodeon, right? Like, I'm not some random person trying to, like, profit off of... You do understand where... you get it? Like, I protested Nickelodeon? I did that, too. I have to eat. And what a cool way to eat, to see people supporting survivors. Wear a protest sign on their fucking t-shirt. Better than buying a shitty t-shirt at fucking Target, honestly. Support a survivor. They lose their jobs for speaking out. I don't have my acting career. I don't have that. That's not going to happen for me because I spoke out against it, goddammit. You make fun of me for that too, to eat. Never can just give me the credit I deserve, that anyone deserves when they're doing the right thing. But always nitpicking, dehumanizing with labels, irrelevant, woof, just icky. And it's not real. Again, you don't know me. And I love this t-shirt because for so long I wasn't believed about Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider. Actually, I was in this situation kind of like at 12. You know what it was like telling people that Jamie Lynn Spears was a bully? That used to be, people would look at me and go, Britney Spears' sister? No, you have to be the problem. Dude, and then look at what happens. It took a long fucking while, but we found out a lot about Jamie Lynn Spears, didn't we? So whatever, it might take some time before everyone realizes what the fuck you guys are doing and what bullies you are. Truth ages well. Lies die. Watch it.
Okay, moving back to these questions and moving back towards that it's just a podcast defense that I mentioned earlier that Alexa has been using for herself. Kat asked about Eat Predators being designated as a for-profit stock company.
Whatever. Moving on. 11. Why did Alexa establish Eat Predators as a for-profit entertainment company with Alexa serving in every executive position? Kat, it's called a podcast. It's called a YouTube channel. This is not a nonprofit. I mean, does that bother you? Like, when people say you're a journalist, let's get out of here. When people say you're a journalist, what does that mean? You get paid to do the work that you do. Why am I being bashed for having a podcast? Ooh, what? I'm making what is Adam doing? I mean, this is actually, Adam, you make money off of YouTube? You make videos about Colleen? Fine. Actually, I'll never forget when I first saw your YouTube video. I remember turning to Miko and going, that's so badass. I didn't even know that was cool. That's cool. That was cool to me. That you had no shame about that. That you, instead of going to a journalist, you were just saying it on your YouTube channel and you were making money. Good for you. So here I am. Weird when it's Adam, nothing. Weird when it's me, it's something.
I mean, nobody would have criticized her to the extent that they have if she were only portraying it as a podcast or if she was saying she had a drama channel like Adam. I refuse to believe that I actually have to explain what the difference is between what she was doing and what somebody who would get less criticism for doing something similar does, because it's two completely different things. If Adam called his drama channel a survivor-led collective, I would also have some questions for him about how he spends donations that he gets and what he does with the money he earns. But he doesn't, so I don't. I also haven't seen him do like a mass harassment campaign against former friends of his. I mean, there's just really not a lot of comparison going on here in anybody's brain other than Alexa's. You cannot opt in to a higher standard just for the clout that it would bring you and then refuse to actually be concerned about living up to that standard once it's time to operate within that standard. That is not how it works. If you called yourself an activist, if you called yourself an advocate, you called yourself a survivor-led collective, you needed to act like that, and you didn't. And then now to just pretend like it was never actually that, like, just borderline offensive to me, honestly.
And why am I in every executive position? Because I am. I am in every executive position. For the most part. Does that bother you? Because what, I'm like a woman, or what about it bothers you? What does that even mean?
Kat stayed on the finances in her questions because that is a thing that a lot of people have been concerned and curious about with Eat Predators. And Alexa answered some of those questions.
How is the money from ePredator's Patreon subscriptions used before ePredators was filed as a for-profit entertainment company? Anyways, there's the receipts. 306. There it is. You know how? Buying the the protest signs. They were financing protest signs, not including the labor of research, printing, assembly. I mean, dude, I'm not even going to go into this. It's ridiculous that it's so ridiculous. How is the money from Patreon used after the filing? After filing as a for-profit company, the Patreon funds continued to go towards the ink and paper. However, as more subs joined, I was able to properly compensate myself. It goes into the live streams, getting the gear. What's the exhibit 9.3? Audio. Anyways, okay. Like, I can't believe. What do you want to see? My like bank statements next? Like, this is. Gee, where is Adam? How you spend your money when you make a Colleen video? Ridiculous. Who even cares? I don't want to know. Go get a drink. Go get a White Claw. Have all ePredators Patreon members received the free merchandise associated? Oh my God, here's the thing about the merchandise. Yes. Yes. This question is based on information from one source as well as a public comment on social media asking about undelivered stickers. Goes into all of it. Show all of the receipts. It's printful, guys. It just goes.
Automatic.
It's automatic. You make a payment and it okay.
Like, okay, sure, that was fine, but look how she dodges this one.
Did Alexa offer to pay an ePredator's Discord moderator California minimum wage? Guys, I was getting $500. Oh my God. It's just so frustrating. These were also independent contractors. These weren't employees. It's like I told them exactly what my budget was, how many hours, and how they had to clockify it. It's all written documentation, which you have, Kat. God, it's really fucked up. Okay, I'm glad we're getting to the end.
Yeah.
How does Alexa respond to a former Discord moderator saying they were paid less than California minimum wage for the hours they worked despite an agreement? Can we go to the answer? Mika? Okay. It's going to take too long.
Are you kidding me? That one would take too long, but we had infinite time to just go around and around about how Alexa never knew anybody could be both a victim and a predator. Okay, home stretch here. We've got like 2 more questions from Kat and obviously Alexa's responses to them, and then we're going to talk about Alexa's conclusion, and then I get to do a conclusion, and then we'll be done here for now.
It's going to take too long. Okay, what is Alexa's response to the petition for a civil harassment restraining order filed against her on April 10th? What is my response? I want to be left alone. I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. Put me at... You guys don't understand. It put me at risk. And now I have people like Kat who encourage that type of behavior. How do I feel about it? How do I want to respond? Look at my face.
So Alexa is again accusing Kat of encouraging her stalker.
Here's your last and final question, Kat. And I want it to be fucking remembered that you're a victim blamer and that you don't believe survivors. How does Alexa respond to the claim that she obtained a restraining order against a former ePredators member on false or incomplete pretenses based on claims within the April 10 filing and information from 4 sources? You don't believe me? With all the evidence. DEATH, threats, endless YouTube videos, posts. I'm done. Truth, ages, well, lies, die. We'll see how it all ages, Kat. I'm sorry your article wasn't able to get published because I'm irrelevant.
You about to lose your job.
I'm sorry that I'm irrelevant and you couldn't get the whatever out there. That was awful.
And she implies that Kat will be responsible if anything happens to her.
Kat, another really disappointing moment I had with you from afar was you saying you were like waiting for my stalker's comment. For an article that didn't come out, you put my life at danger. Do you understand me? You can laugh and say that you don't believe me and all this. Okay. You better hope nothing fucking happens to me. I mean that.
Which I'm not downplaying the severity of this person who she has a restraining order against, but no, it wouldn't be Kat's fault. And also it's very reminiscent of Alexa's mother's suicide baiting from before the live even began, so I just didn't feel particularly sympathetic to the way that she presented this. But yeah, so Alexa concludes,
You don't care about survivors. You cared about Drake Bells. All right. See, we can all... This is why this is so exhausting. Before I end this, you feel justified doing your thing. I have a reason for why I had to take down that video. But at the end of the day, like, how are we treating each other? I thought you hated dep heads, man. I thought you hated that. I thought you hated making fun of survivors. I thought that wasn't your style. I thought you would never like someone saying that a survivor was irrelevant. Thought that wasn't your style. But it is. I'm done. Power to survivors.
Power to survivor! Power to survivor!
Bye.
and then that was it. Her mother had put in the chat at some point before it ended that she was leaving, so not to worry, like, oh, we're done, don't worry, I'm putting it on screen. Which, to me, I didn't really believe that that was going to be the end of Eat Predators. I've already said in this video, I don't really believe that was going to be the end of Eat Predators, and between me filming yesterday when I said that, and now Alexa is already posting again on Instagram in a way that implies she's going to do another Guess Who type thing, I don't know, which I will also put those on screen, but first, this is what she posted the next morning after the nighttime live. Which, again, like, it says it's the last one, but then she's now posting this, so who knows. So like I said, I'm also going to do a conclusion, and that's, we're gonna do that. But before we do, I want to read a comment left and pinned on Alexa's video from her husband, Michael Gray, who was being active in the chat while she was talking as well, joining in with Alexa in claiming that there were discrepancies in the victim's testimony. Something, the judge didn't mention when Drake accepted his plea bargain, so I don't know what these two are on about. And Michael was talking to Alexa at multiple points during the video, but here's one of them.
You have all the evidence, Kat, and I hope you're saying that in the chat if you're in here anymore, nor do I care.
She fought hard to get the article published, but they just wouldn't budge because it wasn't relevant.
Okay,
enough.
Kat, whatever.
Wow.
You fought real hard for what? To show that what was in the final article? I'm just curious.
What was left?
What was
After Every
left?
question was answered. With
Dude,
full
there's
transparency.
hundreds and hundreds of files proving you were wrong. And also, aren't you supposed to be not biased? Why are you fighting her? What?
Yeah,
You're looking at
You're
evidence that
still
actually
looking for the angle
it's
after all of
crazy.
the truth.
It's really sad.
I'm also fairly certain that both Kat and Adam had left the live chat by this point, but, whatever. So here's the pinned comment. It appears to be an open letter. To Kat Tenbarge. Over the years, I've encountered numerous journalists, and it deeply saddens me that someone who claims to support survivors and their narratives, and who dedicates time to raising awareness about abuse, could engage in such unethical and harmful investigative reporting. It is disturbing to witness someone I love, someone who has tirelessly advocated for the survivor community, be subjected to daily harassment and slander, often by the very individuals she set out to protect and support. Your uninformed stance and unwillingness to carefully examine the facts before you report to your sources have played a significant role in this, exposing your biases and lack of integrity. When you first sent your uninformed list of investigative questions, there wasn't an ounce of fear, only pain and frustration at the thought of having to organize, answer, and share everything Alexa and I have documented over the past couple of years. It was disheartening to think that once again we were not being believed. Even you seemed surprised by the full transparency we provided regarding the business operations and activities of the organization. Despite receiving over 100 pages of responses and evidence, you still sought ways to support your agenda. Spinning conspiracies to fuel a witch hunt against a survivor activist who only aimed to help others and use her platform for good. You should be ashamed. You owe Alexa an immediate apology. You weaponized your position as a journalist to carry out a character assassination against an innocent person, and even considered giving a platform to her dangerous stalker, someone who has threatened the lives, well-being, and safety of Alexa and our children. This is truly shameful. I'm not sure how you remain employed, but perhaps returning to ASMR YouTube videos would be more productive than manipulating narratives without regard for ethics or reasons. Yeah, Michael, maybe it would be more productive for your wife to be in fucking therapy, and the right kind. Maybe that would be helpful. Maybe that would be more productive. Or maybe she could go back to acting. Maybe she could get a real job. Maybe you could get a real job. Just some options. If we're just throwing out what we think people should do with their lives, I think you should go fuck yourself. That's my option. Okay. Returning to this fucking open letter. It's clear that your vendetta against Drake Bell was rooted in a desire to harm Alexa. When you discovered what was in the publicly available police documents, cutting in again, reminding you, Kat says on Twitter that it's not publicly available, that she confirmed with the police that it's not publicly available. I tend to believe the journalist over this woman who says she has just been running a podcast, right? It's just been a podcast this whole time, so I'm gonna go with the journalist. It's clear that your vendetta against Drake Bell was rooted in a desire to harm Alexa. When you discovered what was in the publicly available police documents, you should have reconsidered your perspective and reported on it, but because it didn't align with your previous narrative, you chose silence. Alexa searches for the truth, even when it's uncomfortable or disappointing. She embraces it and shares that knowledge with others, asking the right questions like a journalist should. So the real question is, why didn't you? You are a paid professional, yet you failed to do your job. Alexa has not asked the right questions about nearly any story she's covered, and that's because the only questions Alexa can maintain in her head while she's thinking about the worst thing somebody else has been through is, how is this about me? How can I make this about me? Can I turn this person into a victim if I need to do another Guess Who stream? Finally, to those criticizing Alexa's association with Drake Bell simply because they appeared in a documentary together and she supported his survival and his stand against Nickelodeon, please remember that child stars and public figures are human beings with their own suffering, difficulties, and stories. I urge you to spend more time researching Drake's case instead of wasting energy spreading hate in the echo chambers of the internet. Hey, how many people did you guys ban during the live chat? Because I wasn't really watching, but I did see messages get deleted, and I have seen people mention that. So if we're talking about echo chambers, I do think there's one we could talk about. It's one I've been talking about on my channel for a very long time. It's called Eat Predators. Oh my god, cut me a fucking break. Sorry, I hadn't gotten to the end of it yet when I was reading it earlier. Maybe the snark Reddit about me is them. Because that one that said that I'm a misogynist caping as a feminist or whatever, that sounds like this. Okay. Women in the media and online are often held to an unrealistic standard of perfection, subjected to relentless criticism and scrutiny. Alexa has never scammed anyone or promoted falsehoods about her activism. She has only tried to make a positive impact in the world, and it's sickening to see how quickly people are willing to tear her down for it. I got some things I think are sickening. I got a lot of things I think are fucking sickening about this woman and about her husband and about all of this shit that's been going down. It is not a feminist issue that nobody is allowed to criticize Alexa Nikolas. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. It did not go over very well, even in the comment section. I really think the tides have officially and finally turned, although I guess we'll see what happens next. I want to give a shout out to a Nuance Corner friend of mine who both let me know about this pinned comment and also responded and got a response from Michael. Drowsy Fawn responded and said, regardless of your opinion on the court case, suggesting that Kat only supports Drake Bell's victims because of a, quote, desire to harm Alexa is ridiculous. Kat's support of these women is in line with positions she's held throughout her career, which Alexa references in this very video. Also, multiple women have alleged Drake Bell abused them, including one who he dated when he was 20 and she was 16. So to be clear, your position is that all of these women are lying and that the reporter who has lifted up survivors' stories throughout her career is only pressing Alexa about her support of a man with multiple abuse allegations against him because she's mean and jealous of her? And then Michael responded, at Drowsy Fawn, it was malicious. There is no coincidence that her email can a day after Alexa criticized her article for being hypocritical. Cutting in. I thought Alexa said that article didn't come out. Didn't she? But anyway. Even in her email, she opens with Alexa's perspective on Drake, and in her opening questions, requests answers in regards to Alexa's actions. Ironic that a journalist was unable to do her own research and had to align with dangerous individuals and re-traumatize Alexa to get to the truth, which she still denies, and purposefully neglected evidence from his case. That's unethical journalism through and through. So's your wife's fucking podcast channel. Unethical, untrained, unsourced, unempathetic. Kat Tenbarge has more journalistic, ethical, and feminist integrity in her pinky finger than Alexa Nikolas and her shitty little husband could muster if they combined their powers like Steven Universe and tried to make one halfway decent activist. These people are unserious, they are unhelpful to other victims, they are out for themselves, and they're gonna attack anybody who points it out. That's just what's been happening already. That's what's gonna continue to happen if Alexa was not telling the truth when she said that this was her last stream. I don't believe that Kat Tenbarge empowered Alexa's stalker. I don't believe that Alexa is lying when she says that Shift made her to feel unsafe. But, like, you're a public figure. And if somebody is filing something against you saying that the restraining order you put against them is harassment, before a judge has responded to that, it's pretty reasonable for a journalist to be like, I wonder if there's anything to that. I haven't seen Kat platform Shift. I haven't seen that. I have not seen her do that. She hasn't done that in public. On her platforms, in articles she's written, she has not done that. The fact that she considered whether or not to do that, that she looked into it, I don't even know if that's true. I don't know whether or not she has spoken to Shift. I don't blame her if she had reached out to him for comment. I don't. I mean, I would feel differently if she was, like, retweeting him and being his bestie, or if he was Drake Bell having a concert and she was going backstage, but thankfully only Alexa is that kind of hypocrite, right? You didn't believe a teenage girl who Drake Bell pled guilty about, but you think that everybody will just believe Alexa without question forever, and that's not how that works. A few other people responded to Michael's comment thread and asked him for clarification about, the lawyer, anything that Alexa dodged, and he just didn't. It's the echo chamber that he was accusing Kat of being in. If Alexa leaks this drive, I'm not responding to whatever's in it. I will talk about the fact that she did it. I'll talk about the fallouts of it. I'm not going to read this drive, and I would not publicize it because I wouldn't do that to this young woman. And I think Alexa should be very fucking ashamed of herself that even if this isn't something that she would or will do, that it's something that she's threatening. I think that's kind of where I want to leave it today. I would love to know what you all think of this entire ordeal. If you think I missed anything important in my clips, for those of you who went and watched the live for yourself, I did want this video to maybe be shorter than Alexa's live, so I cut a little bit. I am like 3 hours deep into my next video, but I'm not entirely sure when that one is going to come out, and as I've mentioned a few times already in this video, I am planning on doing another long video about Alexa. I'd love to hear from anybody who would like to be heard from in my future video. That's been something I've been a bit hesitant to like just outright offer, and I'm gonna have to exhibit some like picking and choosing, if not because of anything in specific, then just because I might hear from a lot of people and not have the capacity for all of that. But if you have a story, if you have something you would like to talk to me about and you have not already reached out to me on Instagram, because a few people already have, or if you've reached out to me on Instagram a while back before I was planning on incorporating people's stories, and you do want a story that we've spoken about to be part of the upcoming video, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. If nothing else, it'll inform like the basic shape of the video, even if I don't go into your specific story. So like if you have a category of thing you would like to make sure I talk about with Alexa, let me know. I did a community post recently about this. I'm planning on a bunch of other videos. I've just kind of been having a bit of a couple of weeks here. I love you all very, very much, and I have missed you, and I am like really excited to hear what you have to say about this one, because this was a lot. This was a lot. I really hope there's not another live. I hope she was telling the truth for once. I don't think she was. I don't think she'd already be posting on her Instagram story about receipts if she was really staying away, but oh god, please. This could have been it. Narratively, this could have been how she decided to go out. We'll see if she stays with that decision or not, but I'm gonna guess not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't seem to be about her very often, though. If you liked the video, maybe like the video. I always forget to ask people to do that, but I feel like I'll do it anyway. One thing I don't tend to forget to ask, though, if you would consider subscribing to me if you're interested in more conversations like this in the future, or in the other Alexa video that I already mentioned is coming down the line. I've got another video coming out very shortly, I think probably next week, but the VMAs happened, so like I gotta look at some stuff. But yeah, I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I love you very much. Bye.